Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and committee members. So HB 7 increases the sentencing for carjacking. I don't think you can turn on the news and not hear of an instance of someone being carjacked. These are violent and very traumatic crimes to victims. All of us heard yesterday the story shared by the governor of people being severely and gravely injured during carjackings. And if you were on the committee last year, you would hear me. I've shared similar stories of people when I passed my last carjacking bill. There is just a huge risk of grave harm to victims, and we want to deter carjackings as best we can. So right now, a carjacker can get a mere 2 years on the low end. So we want to increase the minimum to 5 years. Then if the carjacking results in severe bodily injury, the maximum of carjacking becomes the minimum with the sentence range of 20 to 30 years. It's not a complicated crime bill, but it's one where we're going to hold carjackers accountable and try to help protect victims. And I have Lauren Lampert here with me too, and if y'all have any questions.
Could you elaborate a little more on the intent or the rationale for increasing it, the amount that you did? Because my understanding, carjacking is done by intimidation, normally with a weapon or a firearm. And as I understand, the increase, are you trying to align it with armed robbery, or are you trying to be more consistent? What is your intent to bring this particular bill in this session?
I mean, so my intent is to deter carjackings. I mean, obviously, especially in our area, they've just been on a rise. I mean, just last week, there was a woman who was carjacked in the Marigny. I mean, obviously, you heard the stories from the governor where he shared Lindy Fricky lost her life in a carjacking. I mean, and so these occur a lot in our area and really around the state. And so I wanted to increase the penalties for us to deter the crime. I mean, because right now, like I said, on the low end, you could get a minimum of 2 years. Which is just not enough. And especially with these crimes, a lot of people are getting injured. And so we also wanted to match that where there's going to be an increase if somebody is severely bodily injured.
Do you know why the time is such a disparity between armed robbery and carjacking with an armed weapon?
So I might have Mr. Lampert kind of discuss that, but I'm not a prosecutor, but my understanding for armed robbery is 10 to 99 years. And then if you use a firearm, then it goes from 15 to 99 years. So this is nothing, crazy, right? But we obviously want to increase penalties to make sure people aren't carjacking.
Our position, my position, and those of law enforcement that I speak with is that there's a dangerous weapon in every carjacking that ever occurred, and that dangerous weapon is called a 3,000-pound automobile. And we have seen what that automobile can do to our citizens, even when they're trying to get out of the way, much less resist.
Good morning, everyone. Sarah Whittington with the Justice and Accountability Center here in opposition to this bill. And specifically, I'll start by addressing what DA Lampert just said, which that I believe truly and honestly that raising this minimum will not have a deterrent effect. We were actually at a crime and justice conference on Friday with a panel of a judge, a district attorney, a public defender, and a corrections officer, and when directly asked if raising sentences will have a deterrent effect, each and every one of them said no. And that's simply because a lot of these crimes are also crimes of impulse and not a lot of forethought. Therefore, if you're not thinking about whether it's a 2-year sentence or a 5-year sentence, you're not actually processing whether or not this is going to change a behavior simply based on the sentence that you may or may not receive. We'd also acknowledge that that same judge then actually said, if you really want to improve public safety, you need to invest in people and opportunities. And those will not bear fruit for 20 years, and you all will not get to take credit for it, but that is where the investment has to lie. I'm always inspired by and reminded of the idea, the proverb that says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. If you choose, looking at this fiscal note, to invest, I believe it says $11.2 million in incarcerating individuals. That is $11.2 million that will not feed children in the summer. That's $11.2 million that cannot go to early childhood education, that cannot go to actually deterrent, diversionary, effective programming that I believe would have a broader and more effective impact than increasing someone's length of incarceration when we do not know for sure that there is a possibility for rehabilitation in the space of 3 years based on just the acknowledgement of what access you do or do not have to programming. Additionally, I believe that we should be working to create a state where you would want your children and grandchildren to grow up in. And that investment does not happen only in our prisons. It has to happen in its people. And so these regressive policies that increase periods of incarceration, I do not believe would have that effect.
My name is Katie Hunter Lowry. I'm a crime survivor organizer with the Promise of Justice Initiative. I coordinate Louisiana Survivors for Reform. We're a coalition of survivors of violence and homicide victims' loved ones from across the state. And our opposition to this bill, like many of the bills this session, do nothing to support survivors materially or in the way that we directly ask for. I interact with survivors of violence and victims' loved ones all day for my job, and I am a survivor of violence myself. And we are very clear about our needs and desires: prevent violence, provide healing. This bill does neither of these things. It uses old methods that do not work. This will not be a deterrent, and we know that harsher sentencing doesn't make us safer. This bill does not address the harm that has been caused. It does not offer support for victims. Any interaction that they are getting with people who are supportive are if there is an arrest made, if there is a charge. The tiniest percent of victims in our state are getting to that point in the criminal legal system. It is so unclear to the members of our coalition why bills this session are focusing on increasing punishments in the name of victims without actually giving us the things that we need: more access to the Crime Victims Reparations Fund, more access to shelters, access to safe housing, mental health support, medical bills. These are tangible, solvable problems for crime victims. Every bill this session, including this one, has a cost, and I do know that the cost for this bill is indeterminate, as the fiscal note states, because incarcerating people for lengthy periods of time in prison is very expensive. A 30-year sentence will mean you are housing more elderly people in detention centers, more costly medical care. Again, every dime that you are investing in prisons and jails is a dime you are not investing in crime victims.
Representative Fontenot is requesting to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you. Ms. Lowry, since 2017, we have invested hundreds of millions of dollars in the process of rehabilitation and spending those dollars in a correctional and penal facility to make life safer. Would you agree to that?
Do I think that investing more money in prisons makes us safer?
But had we done that since 2017 under JRI?
I can speak to the JRI investments in the Crime Victims Fund, and I know my colleague can speak to the investments in reentry programs. But no, I mean, investing in prisons does not make us safer. That's kind of the whole point.
My point is, since 2017, we have invested in rehabilitative services. We put these programs in place in our penal facilities, and we've spent state dollars. And I want to close with this. Since 2019, and we've spent those dollars that you talk about we should spend, carjacking in the state of Louisiana has gone up by 105%. Would you agree to those statistics?
Not in this moment. No, I don't have data sitting in front of me on carjacking statistics.
That's all the questions I have, Madam.
We have a motion to move the bill favorably. Do we have any, by Rep. Mike Johnson, do we have any opposition? We have Representative Walters has objected. Can we have a roll call vote?
Representative Villio?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Adams? Yes. Yes. Representative Bacala? Yes. Yes. Representative Boyer?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Cox? Yes. Yes. Representative Fontenot?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Horton? Yes. Yes. Speaker Pro Tem Johnson?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Knox? Yes. Yes. Representative LaFleur? Yes. Yes. Representative Moore? Yes. Yes. Representative Ventrella? Yes. Yes. Representative Walters? No. No. Representative Wiley? Yes. Yes. 13 yeas, 1 nay.
The bill is passed favorably. Thank you.